I've been struggling with the way in which the writers in the Star Wars trilogy decided to end in a pathetic attempt at comedy the trajectory of Boba Fett's character. And I've decided I need a little therapy session about it. Boba Fett is a remarkable side character that has a ton of mystery about him. We didn't see him until Empire Strikes Back. And if you do the numbers, I think he has maybe 4 or 5 minutes in total in Empire Strikes Back. And that's the first movie he appears in. Like, he wasn't in the original movie originally. I mean, when I saw it in 1977, for like the many times I saw Star Wars, I remember my dad came to me in May of 1977 after he'd already seen it twice. And he said, "Do you want to go on Saturday to the Russian River where there's slides and swings into the river? Or do you want to go see Star Wars?" I said, "I want to go see Star Wars again, forever. I always want to see Star Wars." And then in May of 1980, Empire Strikes comes out. And we were first in line. And that's when I first saw and was exposed to Boba Fett. He's a bounty hunter. He was on the Imperial destroyer ship because the Millennium Falcon had gotten away after it escaped the asteroid from the worm with the Minox. The Millennium Falcon attached to the Star Destroyer secretly, and the radar couldn't see him anymore. And Darth Vader was going down the line of all these classic monster bounty hunters, and he's saying, "I want you to find the Millennium Falcon," basically. And he goes up to Boba Fett, and he says to Boba Fett, "And no disintegration." And Boba Fett says, "As you wish." I don't know what disintegration was. I defy any Star Wars fan to find a single example of disintegration. I'm not aware of a disintegration laser or a disintegration weapon. And I so want to know the backstory of when Darth and Boba Fett had some deal, and he's like, "Hey, Boba Fett, I need you to do this." And Boba Fett used disintegration, and Darth got pissed, but not so pissed that he kept working with Boba Fett. And of course, after the Star Destroyer takes off on light speed, that's when, and actually before that, they dump their trash. They dump all their trash out. They were really messy in the universe. I mean, imagine all the gross trash that's just floating around because of these Star Destroyers before they go to light speed. They dump their trash, and the trash floats away. And that's when Han releases the grip from the Star Destroyer, and the Millennium Falcon kind of floats away with the trash. And then you see the Star Destroyers going into light speed. So now Han thinks, "Oh, it's great. I'm now going to go see Lando Calrissian in the Cloud City." But guess who knew that that's what Han was going to do? Boba Fett. Boba Fett came out with the trash too. That's how smart he was. And he secretly followed the Millennium Falcon. And Boba Fett's ship was a street lamp upside down. If you go look at a street lamp on the street and you flip it upside down with the light on the bottom, that's Boba Fett's ship. And it's so cool because it flies like this, like you're flying, like you're driving a car with the light behind you. It's a crazy design for a ship. Anyway, you next see Boba Fett in the classic scene where Lando is saying to Han and Leia and what's left of C-3PO, because I think C-3PO got cut in half. Lando's like, "Let's go have a meal. We're all hungry. You're getting hangry. Let's go eat. Here, come eat in this room." And they open the room. Well, guess who's in the room? It's an empty table. Well, an empty room with the table, and guess who's at the head of the table by himself? Darth Vader. And you hear this incredible growl on Chewie, and Han fires right away, bum, 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 but Han just knocks it down, no big deal. I'm sorry, Darth knocks it down, says, come join me for dinner. And then Boba Fett walks out a side door in the room, because Boba Fett's working for him. Then you see Han being tortured, or you hear Han being tortured, and he comes out. And this is why it's so cool of Boba Fett's character, because Darth was torturing Han, and he comes out of the torture room, and Boba Fett goes up to him, basically calling Darth out. If you kill him, he's no good to me, because I got to return him the Jabba the Hutt for money. So he's popping off to Darth Vader. How cool of a character are you that you can go up to Darth Vader and say, "He's no good to me dead. So stop torturing him. And Darth's like, I'm going to freeze him in carbon. And Boba Fett again says, if this doesn't work, I'm not going to get any money. Why are you freezing him? And you know what Darth says? Okay, cool. If he doesn't survive the carbon, I'll pay you. So Boba Fett and Darth have this respect for each other. It's really cool. Anyway, Han gets frozen. We all remember Leia says, I love you. And he says, I know. He gets frozen. Boba Fett takes him into his ship and flies him away. He shoots at Luke, I think, in a scene. Then he flies away. And that's 1980, folks. That's May of 1980. I am a young kid. And I had to wait for 3 years until May of 1985 to see what happens. What happened to Han? What happened to Luke? Is Luke a Jedi? I don't know. Well, we find out that Luke goes to Jabba's palace. He meets Jabba the Hutt. And Luke says, I want Han. That's who I want right now. And Han is sitting there frozen. And you see Boba Fett. He doesn't talk. He's just there. Such a cool character. And then, of course, they find out Luke is there. They take Luke out to I think they call it the Almighty Sarlacc. Yeah, I don't know what's almighty about Sarlacc. It's a hole in the ground, some like animal hole in the ground, like a mouth that you fall into with a stomach in the desert. So they go out on Jabba's barge and they have like a little teeny floating ship that they put Han on and Luke, and they're going to kick them off of this diving board into Sarlacc. And that's when R2-D2 shoots a lightsaber to Luke, and Luke gets in a fight, and it's a compelling fight scene. But here's where it just absolutely goes downhill. There should be writers that should never work again in the industry after they wrote this scene. It is despicable. It is sad. It is unacceptable. When they're fighting on the ship off the barge, Boba Fett flies over on his rockets to come over and basically kill Luke, Han, and Chewie. And Luke is able to fight off Boba Fett and breaks his gun. He hits with, I think he with his lightsaber, he pushes his Boba Fett's bullet back into his gun. And Boba Fett then wraps Luke with this coil, so Luke is kind of taken care of. Luke gets out of that and flies to one of a ship to attack another set of guys. And here's where the hardy-har comedy results. Boba Fett's still there and he's ready to go. Remember that Han has he's suffering from carbon sickness and blindness. Han can't see. And Han is standing up now. He's now fighting, and he's got this huge, I don't know a staff or something that he got, not sure where he got it from. And you hear Chewie making noise, and Han says, what are you saying to me, Chewie? And Chewie goes, and Han says, that's Boba Fett? You're saying Boba Fett's behind me? And Han blindly swings and hits Boba Fett's jetpack. Boba Fett is heard screaming in fear as his jetpack goes over to Jabba's barge. I just want to pause there. Boba Fett screaming in fear. That is not his character. Boba Fett's not scared. He's not going to scream. He's not going to be frightened. He's screaming in fear. He hits Jabba the Hutt's barge, falls down into the ground, into Sarlacc, and guess what Sarlacc does? Burps. He burps. And that's your end of Boba Fett? That made the writer's room? Someone offered that up? Let's have Boba Fett die with a burp. If you're a young writer in the writer room and someone throws that at me, I say, you're fired. You just quit. If that's your thought, you have no business in Hollywood. If that's what you thought the arc of that character was. I'm sorry. You're done. I got to get off. I'm just too mad right now thinking about this.